Hello and welcome to Meet Our Makers, an artist interview podcast produced in association with Beats Per Minute. I'm your host, Jeremy J. Facette. On this episode, we get to meet Tunde Adebimpe. Tunde is probably best known as one of the co-founders and lead singers and songwriters of the indie rock band TV on the Radio. And while that band actually did just reissue its debut album for its 20th anniversary and go on a sort of reunion tour, and we do talk about that in this conversation, the meat of this talk, though, is designated for Tunde's brand new debut solo LP, Thee Black Boltz. We talk about some of the themes of this record. We especially talk about what went into the making of this record, which was a multi-year project and included everything from rescuing bits and pieces from the archives to crafting brand new stuff and trying to marry the two and see what they come up with. We also touch on his acting work. Tunde is also an accomplished actor, including his most recent role on the show Star Wars Skeleton Crew. But we also spend quite a bit of time talking about his time in one of my favorite films of all time, Rachel Getting Married by Jonathan Demme. So if you're a fan of TV on the Radio, if you're a fan of his film work, or anywhere in between, I really think you'll get a lot out of this chat. I was thrilled to speak with him, and I thank you for listening. This is me meeting Tunde Adebimpe.
I hit traffic. I didn't want to do a podcast from my car.
It's happened before.
It just wouldn't have. I feel like the traffic I hit would not have allowed for a very clean audio. People were pissed.
It's okay. Well, thank you for coming out and hanging out for a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so we should say off the top, the main reason for inviting you here, besides just generally inviting you here, is that you have a new record coming out, Thee Black Boltz, coming out April 18th on Sub Pop. It is your debut solo full-length album. How are you feeling about it as it's sort of on the precipice of releasing?
I feel good about it. I think that's part of I started without knowing I was starting in probably the end of 2019. So I'm very happy to let it set sail and find some other ears. Yeah, I feel good about it. I think I'm not too attached from it and I'm not too detached from it.
Yeah.
the happy medium.
That's good. I wonder if the distance from when this kind of started is helping with that a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just gone through so many different forms and, incarnations of these songs. And I feel like we, my producing partner Wilder and I kind of landed in a spot where towards the end of the record, it's when it's a really long process, sometimes you go back and you comb through everything and you've had enough time with it that you can kind of start to obsess about little things that you're unsure about. But we had a code, and the code was wet paint, dry paint. And if we got to something and I thought, I don't feel great about that, maybe we should switch it. We would kind of do heads, wet paint, tails, dry paint. And dry paint means just don't touch it. Just leave it alone, even if you feel a little uncomfortable with it. So there was a lot of that towards the end. So there's a lot that I'm pleasantly uncomfortable with on the record.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, no, it's. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to send anything into the world going like, actually, it's the best thing you'll ever hear.
It's perfect. No note astray.
No, nothing. It's going to be perfect forever.
So, you mentioned you started without really knowing you were starting, but when do you feel like this kind of picked up momentum and you were like, okay, I'm kind of creating a record now?
Probably, I would say probably late 2020. um, because in 2019, TV on the radio decided to take a break. And I also wanted to take kind of a break from music generally, just to, I think it's good to take a break and remember what you like about something so you can keep doing it as opposed to just kind of burning out and wondering why you cursed yourself in this way. So we took a break and I just started messing around with some songs that never really made it onto the band's roster, and just to mess around and
Yeah.
just to kind of like be active. Um, and then um, a crazy thing happened in 2019 where someone broke into my garage, which is my studio, and stole my laptop and 15 years worth of hard drives. So all of this stuff that I was sort of just like, when I have the chance to work on this, I'm totally going to get back into these hard drives and figure stuff out. It's like that was no longer an option.
Wow.
But I found my old 4-track recorder and I actually found a box of cassette tapes that went from about 1998 to about 2008. In 2008, I guess, is when, we started recording digitally. So I went through some of those, found some songs, just started like fleshing out a few demos there. And then the pandemic hit and I had lots of time in certain ways. But definitely by the end of 2020, I kind of had enough that it felt like I was, could collect them and make a record, even though a lot of those songs didn't end up on the record. It was just kind of, I was in the process of making.
Yeah.
The whole time.
So are all the songs on this record sort of from, or at least a version of something from that archive, or did you continue writing new stuff too?
There was one that there were a lot of new things.
Okay.
That happened mid pandemic sitting there. But there were a few songs from that archive, a few fragments of songs from that archive that Wilder and I had a folder, a Dropbox folder called Bits and Bobs. And whenever we didn't know what to do with something, there was just like a clip of something, we just put it in there. And when we had some lag time between songs, we would just take something out and experiment with it. And the song Somebody New came out of one of those like dice roll sort of sessions. But I would say the bulk of them, actually the song the most I'd written a very long time ago. And there were just various versions. That was a weird one because I feel like every 2 years I proposed that to TV on the radio. Like, no. We don't really understand where this is coming from. I'm just like, you guys don't see my vision for the lunacy of a relationship. You don't understand how weird it can get.
Which is funny because it's not like TV on the radio played it super straight all the time.
I'm saying, I don't really know what the true litmus test was. I think it was people. I don't know. Okay. There's some paths that not everyone was willing to go down together, which is valid. But that's why when you get your own when you build your own bike, you can do all the tricks you want. Even if you wipe out, they're still your tricks. Yeah,
it's true. It's funny you say that because I mean I didn't going into this record. I mean I've listened a couple of times now. I didn't know when these songs are from, or the fact that you had sort of offered them up to your band in the past and it was turned away. But like a lot of the time with solo outings from members of prominent bands, I feel like a lot of the time as a listener, I'm like, well, this could have probably just been a XYZ song or whatever band.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like this sounds like a TV on the radio record. Okay. Despite having your voice at the front and quite a good sense of rhythm and a lot of synths and a lot of sounds and textures that I don't think would be foreign for the band, but I don't know. So
Sure.
there's like an ineffable quality here that I can't quite pinpoint, but it really does sound like a new thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of that is that I kept the demos. Well, actually, I don't know. I think it's part. I kept the demos pretty skeletal, and there were,
Hmm.
instruments that would hint at, like what sonic texture a whole song could have. Like with Magnetic, I wrote it with, like there were three, basically three notes on a, guitar, which is kind of all I can muster on a guitar, and a drum machine, and that kind of gave it this very kind of like lo-fi punk idea that I could then kind of shuttle off to Wilder, and he could do whatever he kind of wanted with it. And I think maybe that's part of it, that I kept things pretty simple demo wise and handed them over to Wilder
Yeah.
first, and just said, you know I think another thing that I've learned is just it's really important to get the right person. And a lot of times that happens by chance. I think, in my experience, just so far, like going and being like, oh man, maybe this big producer can do something with this song. It's like, for whatever reason, either we didn't connect or whatever, but suddenly my friend who's produced music for ages and who I've seen, in bands for forever, is around, and I'm just like, do you want to give these a try? And it really worked out in the
Yeah.
best possible way.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of it, but I also feel like some of the songs are a lot more stripped down than, a TV on the radio record
Yeah, for sure.
might be. And I don't know if that's, um, I I don't like to hear too many things anymore at the same time. um, not, I mean, not to say that TV on the radio stuff has been too many things, but I feel like the more I write, the more simple I'd like things to come across.
So if there's ever another TV on the radio record, it's just piano ballads the whole way through.
I hope so, and spoken word in between those.
That'd be a left turn. That'd be a left
Yeah,
turn.
it would definitely be
Um, so
turn.
I
Yes.
mean, you also had some production help, if I'm remembering correctly, from a couple of people who work with TV on the radio or in TV on the radio.
Hmm.
Did you ever have a moment of like when a song was working out, like, hey, that's one of the ones that we didn't do?
No, I never brought that up, because I just don't, that's was
I
not
know.
necessary.
I know.
but I think on one there was something, somebody said just like, oh wow, yeah, we should have, but you, like, why didn't you submit this to the band, or like, why didn't we do this one? And
Yeah,
it
that's
was
funny.
it was I did, and no one wanted this kid.
That's so funny. So yeah, so you said that you kind of started tinkering towards the end of the 2019, 2020 area, when TV on the radio was kind of going on break. But now here we are just over 5 years later, and now you're releasing it. So I mean, I guess the larger question then would be, what compelled you to even like quote unquote go solo at all?
I think it was just having a collection of songs and really not knowing what else, the the nice thing and the very odd thing about doing something for kind of a long time, like with TV on the radio, or just musicianship, or or art, is that it just kind of becomes, um it's just something that kind of, for me, just kind of grows back, and like if I don't write or put it somewhere, it just feels weird to me.
Yeah.
um so I think it was just having the time to do it,
Hmm.
and also just, part of me was sort of like, I think a lot of it was, trying to rediscover what I liked about making music and liked about bands and liked about the whole whatever theatricality kind of comes with a lot of my favorite music,
Mm.
and just making something kind of making something that would be a reminder of why I liked doing it,
Yeah.
and also the feeling of the record too. It sort of got the feel of a mixtape that someone would give to you, and I often think about mixtapes people gave me in high school, and it's sort of like, here's everything I'm into.
Yeah.
Like, what are you into? But also like this is a pretty accurate description of my likes and my or a demonstration of my likes and my dislikes and all of that, and it's a gift for you to
Mm.
find yourself in and to attach yourself to these songs or to not attach yourself to these songs. And I feel like the record has that feel to it. I hope it has that feel to it, but like,
Yeah.
this is something I made, not entirely in my garage, but partially in my garage, and it's for you. It's for you
Yeah.
to check out. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds the production is pretty pristine, but it at the same time does have that DIY kind of edge to it. That like kind of you hinted at before, the kind of like punky aesthetic.
Hmm.
That's still there, even though it is kind of eclectic and very electronic at times. I think that spirit kind of holds it together.
Yeah, I that's my favorite spirit of my favorite thing about at least the ethos of like the scene I grew up in, DIY scenes and sort of punk and punkish scenes, was you can do whatever you want,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't really be too concerned about what you actually have no idea what other people are going to think. You just kind of know what you think in the moment, and going with that um is a for me is sort of like a real a grounding tenet of punk rock and the
Mm.
mentality.
Yeah. So if these songs kind of came together over a few years and some of them were pulled from the archives and some were new, so they came from different parts of your life and different parts of your story. When did the unifying concept of the Black Bolts kind of enter into the conversation?
I think pretty close to the end of the record. um
Mm.
and those words are something that I just written down while free writing about kind of the inspiration that comes out of a pretty heavy or tragic situation, where you necessarily have to activate the spark within yourself, or you hit bottom so hard that it's sort of like there's nowhere to go but
Mm.
up, and I have to put some effort into it. But the Black Bolts just kind of felt like, for me, it's these sparks of inspiration that can illuminate a very dark place that you're in, so you can kind of see the terrain and a way out of it. And you also, there's a gratitude, for, in a lot of cases, for being shown that you can kind of navigate this these horrible life losses or situations that are beyond your control. um yeah, it's I feel like for me it's a spark in the night, or in the clouds, a bolt of lightning
Yeah.
inside the clouds. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's that sort of spoken word intro too to kind of set the mood.
Yeah, it's sort of a map for the whole record.
Yeah.
And I don't it's for everybody to figure out on their own, if they want to, or it can just be a weird sort of the record starts with a tape player, which was
Yeah.
kind of that was a bit of
It's a little
because
meta.
yeah, a little meta, and I started those songs, a lot of them, after my stuff got stolen. I went back to recording on this 4-track, which was back to square one. So I felt like it was a good way, a good entry point to the record.
Yeah. So to get into the songs a little bit, I mean, I'll try not to make you or ask you to uncover too many secrets that you want us to find out for ourselves.
Right?
But I know in the past, at least some of TV on the Radio's music was at times sort of political or sort of had a commentary kind of edge to it, for whatever was going on at that time.
Mhm.
Is that present on this record at all?
I don't think we're like pointedly, like
Yeah.
I think there's an Ate the Moon is sort of a like impressionistic description of a psychopath who thinks they can control everything and is all about cruelty and destruction.
That's apropos.
Yeah, so I wish it were closer to pure fiction, but
Yeah.
not that's not how that's not how people are rolling right now, apparently.
It's not
Um,
cool anymore.
yeah, it's not cool as a fairy tale.
Mm.
It's very horror and 4K and 3D. But there's that, and the song "Blue" is kind of about nature reclaiming the terrain after our after we have kind of irreparably fucked it up, and then it's kind of hurrying us off the stage in that song, where it's kind of like, all right, that's enough. You guys had a chance and you blew it.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing really pointed, and I think part of that is uh, I don't. A lot of the anger and rage that I feel towards certain situations actually makes me pretty inarticulate.
Mm.
I feel like my and also screaming for a half hour is not something someone wants to put on.
Mm.
So I feel like it's not so pointed, but it can probably soundtrack a lot of what's going on.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, I was sort of struck by the centerpiece song ILY,
Yeah.
which is such a different song for you, at least in my recollection, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much a stripped back guitar song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, was that ever something else, or were you nervous to have a song so kind of naked, or was that always just sort of part of the ethos of this album?
It was kind of part of the ethos. When I started um, making the record again, I just kind of like for inspiration wrote down a bunch of artists, kind of made my own sketch or model of a mixtape that I would, that I liked the feelings of. And with that, I thought a lot about Nick Drake.
Hmm.
I thought about like Tracy Chapman and Richie Havens um and there's this song that there's this a song called Avalanche by Leonard Cohen.
Oh yeah.
And I later was listening to Avalanche and I was like, did I rip off Avalanche with that little guitar arpeggio? But
Hmm.
I do really I like stripping things down to just what's there, and I feel like the sentiment of the song is pretty simple as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just worked. And I think as far as worrying about what's in line with something I've done with the band or anywhere else, like I just I can't, it's not productive.
Yeah.
For me to
Yeah.
think that way. There's no answer to it, so it's just not. It's it's one of those things, in life where you're running around and you're just kind of like, oh man, this is very heavy and confusing for me. What are people going to think? Da 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 da. And you're just kind of like, oh wait, that's just my shit. It's just my shit, and I can turn it down and turn it off, and it doesn't matter. And I should. That's not what's going to get me to the end of this thing with something to listen to.
Yeah. Is there a live element to this solo project at all?
Yes, Wilder and I are working out a live show that we can bring. It'll be kind of a presentation of the record. It won't be like dead on, and we're trying to work it out so we can expand songs on on stage, and it'll be pretty sampler based. To begin, samplers and synths, and when we can have a full band, we'll have a full band. But I like the idea of showing up somewhere with a backpack and a briefcase and leaving with the backpack and the briefcase.
Very easy.
And not having to sew into that after years of airport trouble with five people and 80 cases.
Yeah. I'm sure they go missing quite often.
Oh, it's just a given. It's a given at this point that something's going to go missing.
Yeah. And that will be probably a very nice change of pace because, not only were you touring with a 5-piece band or more sometimes for years, but you also just got off of a little tour with the band because you guys were celebrating the 20th anniversary of the debut record, which is pretty cool and wild, probably, maybe, to think about.
It's insane. Yeah. It was not when I was told that, touching, it was just like, we're going to reissue a Desperate Youth in 20 years. It was not something. It took a second for me to be happy about that.
Right.
Well, not in that sense, but
I know what you mean.
God damn, 20 years, really? But I feel great that that's happening, that anyone is, cares enough to reissue it. And also, those shows were great.
Yeah, I was going to ask how they went.
Oh, no, it was the most fun, I think, that I've had touring ever. And it was just 11 shows. So that was kind of another part of it where it's sort of like, I'm not going to go travel the cosmos for 15 months and never come home. But it was really great, to see how many people showed up and how people still care. And it was just a very good, energy transfer and volley every night, and just really grateful to be able to do it again. And it was also very interesting to you're on this side of the future now, where people who came to your shows when they were 20 are just kind of like, I brought my kids and they love it. My kids are 50, it's like the whole time warp, but also great, I'm so psyched we're doing a bunch of festivals this summer, a lot in Europe. And then I think there are plans to do things into the fall that I don't think a lot are solidified yet, but I'm really glad. And with this project, I feel like taking it out initially, we'll play smaller places where we can just make it, a really nice experience with visuals, and it's not going to be like a boiler room set, but it will have, the I would like for it to have the vibe of something like that, where you can come and sit and listen and have a
immerse
yourself. Yeah. I don't see us playing unless someone wants us to open for them. I don't see us doing a gigantic stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This kind of like an electronic basement show.
Yeah. No, you're making me think of when I saw Grouper. In a church with projections.
Oh yeah.
Big as the wall. Just yeah. It was neat.
That's definitely the mode, and I feel like I've seen a couple of folks, pull that off in a really nice way. Karen, my friend, Karen O, when she did her record Crush Songs, played in places like the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Like they have
Yeah.
a side side venue there, and I just love that. I love that kind of thing. Yeah,
Is that where the live record of that is?
I'm not
I don't
sure.
remember.
There was
Because
I
there's that really beautiful live document of that tour.
awesome.
Yeah, it's very pretty. Um,
I love those songs. Like,
yeah,
I love that she went through the archives and the kind of lo-fi stuff.
yeah.
Very, yeah. She's a
I mean, I'm old enough to remember the bootlegs from a very long time ago.
oh nice.
I'm sure she would hate if I brought that up ever. But it was very nice for me then as like a longtime fan to like get like a proper solo album. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's always nice to hear. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're, speaking of like intimate tours, I mean they just announced their intimate tour.
yeah.
So that's cool. It seems to be a
Is that gonna be an intimate tour?
That's what they said. I don't know.
Really?
I wrote a
Because
news
yeah.
post about it.
Okay.
It says intimate theaters, which I always kind of take
Oh,
with a
that's
grain of
nice.
salt. I mean, I'm like, what is intimate to you? Because to me, it's like this venue a half hour from my house that has like 100 capacity. Like to
Sure.
me, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's what they're saying, and it's like
Well,
strings,
that's
piano,
cool.
guitar.
Oh, that's great.
It's gonna be
That's
lovely.
great. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's going to be incredible. Yeah.
yeah. Um, So I mean, yeah. So you guys went back out with Desperate Youth, playing probably a lot of songs you hadn't played in a while, and some of your bigger songs that I'm sure people of all ages were singing along to. But going back to, you mentioned a little bit earlier, kind of in the late 2000s, as things were kind of picking up steam with TV on the radio. Um, I think I was made aware of you all when Cookie Mountain came out.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's true for a lot of people. That was kind of like a breakthrough sort of moment. And then Dear Science came around a few years later and kind of kept that going. I know you guys had been operating for a while before that. You had Desperate Youth, you had the EP.
Mhm.
Um, were you guys ever like, I guess I should ask for you, but were you ever sort of aware when that shift was occurring that things were kind of growing more than maybe you had anticipated?
Yeah, I think anytime you realize you're not just playing for your friends anymore, that's a where it's in a lot of good ways, in a lot of weird ways.
Yeah.
There's just like randos at your shows. That's when it you just notice
Yeah.
you're just sort of like this is bigger than at least I could have anticipated. But also, I feel like when you're in it, at least for us, so much of it was about the work and trying to get better and trying to, I guess articulate, whatever we were going for in songs or, getting good enough to realize like, oh, you know what, that thing we did last year is actually not very good at all. So we should just kind of keep going on it. But I think it was after the David Letterman
Yeah.
performance of Wolf Like Me, that's when it was sort of obvious,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways that things were bigger. Because I remember being on sometimes it was like either the L train or the N train, and getting on, and I was with Kip, and it just there were a lot of people staring at us. And it
Yeah.
was sort of and it was sort of this thing of just like, okay, well, whatever, it's first you're just kind of like someone looking at me, what, do I have something on my face, da, 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 da. And then it just kind of kept going through the day,
Yeah.
and it was sort of like, oh right, we were on national television
Yeah.
pre-internet. almost, where
Yeah,
it's
no,
like
I
there
think about
wasn't anything
that
else
too.
to watch.
Yeah, I think about that too
Yeah,
because I mean YouTube was around, but it wasn't.
wasn't doing that.
No, it wasn't doing that. And like people still watch that performance. Like you can still
Yeah.
find it and like people still talk about it on like if you ever look up, best late night,
Hmm.
performance lists, it's often on there. And that happens every now and then. I feel like that like a group at whatever stage in their career, but a group goes on to a late night show and just does what they do and it takes off. And I don't know why sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't happen, but it seemed like that was like one of the turning points.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it definitely, yeah, I feel like it all happened in a really cool way. And the the really, for me, the cool thing was that it was touring after that was cool. We had the video, the Wolf Like Me video that actually John Watts directed, who ended up directing Spider-Man and all of these crazy, he directed the Star Wars show that I had a part in.
Oh, I didn't realize that connection.
Yeah, no, it's pretty funny, like seeing like how all of these things kind of dovetail in a way.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was it. We were suddenly like, oh, this is our job, and we
Yeah.
gotta kind of hold up our end of the deal of people being interested.
Yeah.
So we ourselves have to stay interested in what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Yeah. Um, yeah, you mentioned this is as good a segue as any. You mentioned the Star Wars show. I don't know if everybody knows that you're also an actor.
Okay, I'm also
Hopefully they know. Um, but
think the people no.
you're a pretty accomplished actor. You've been in some big things lately. I mean, you were in, as you say, the Star Wars show Skeleton Crew.
Mhm.
Um, that's I think your most recent sort of released thing.
Mhm.
Um, how did you land that role in such a big like established franchise? Like is that was that a strange occurrence or like how did that go down?
Oh, it was weird in the sense that when you do something like that, at least in my experience, you don't get told exactly what it is. You
Right.
get sort of a dummy script, and you are told, okay, this is a SVOD, like Disney affiliated sort of thing. So you're reading this thing and you're sort of like, I don't know what this is.
Mm,
And the scene I had to read was between a father and son who were like this overworked dad and his kid who was sort of waiting for him to help him out with some homework or a test. So you do it and you don't know what it is. It was self-tape, so you send it in, and part of you is just kind of like, oh, uh, I might be a talking toilet in a Beauty and the Beast movie. I don't know what it is. Um, and then you get a call, oh, they really like what you were doing. You get a call back, and you want to do this other, you do another thing, and you send it in. And I did that, and then I was walking around, and yeah, Watts called me, and he's just like, so yeah, we just kind of caught up for a second. He's like, so I'm doing this thing, and like, we saw your tape, and like, I really am kind of pulling for you to do it, but we got to go through like all of the brass and everything. And I was like, what are you
yeah,
talking about?
you didn't know he was involved, right?
I
In what you were like auditioning for?
no,
Yeah.
absolutely not, no. And
Yeah.
then he called, and I said, what are you doing? Like, what is it? He said, I'm doing a Star Wars thing. I'm doing like the Star Wars series with Ford. Chris Ford, his writing partner.
Hmm.
And so I spent maybe the next 15 minutes just telling him how cool I thought that was, and forgetting about the audition part and all of that. And he said, yeah, so, love your tape. Really but we got to run it through, the brass of, I don't know who exactly the Star Wars brass is, but I think you could look up whatever. It's Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni and John Favreau and all these people who could very easily have just been like, absolutely not him.
Yeah.
But I got through the brass, and yeah, and I got to be in Star Wars, which is something I kind of have to think about. I can't really
Yeah.
like fully think about it because like my 8-year-old self is,
Yeah.
you need a tarp to contain the amount of spazzing out that you would do or
Yeah.
flipping around. Yeah.
I was gonna ask if you were a big Star Wars kid.
Huge Star Wars
Yeah.
kid. Yeah.
So that's
No,
that's
completely.
wild then.
No, it's wild. And the
Yeah.
funniest thing is all of my nerd friends like my phone was suddenly, they were just like, you did it. One of us did it. It's like,
That's so sweet.
I know it was pretty funny, but like, it's funny too because a lot of these people too are now like established
Right.
actors, like a
But
couple of
there's
them.
this one thing.
Yeah, they're like, what? I
That's so
can't
cool.
believe it. It's a very, very much, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of a team dork pride that happened. Yeah.
Do you enjoy like these epic scale kind of productions? Because I mean, you were also recently in Twisters, which was kind of a big Hollywood blockbuster thing. I mean, it's very, very, very different from a lot of the stuff that I first saw you in, which we can get to in a second. But like these big scale, Hollywood blockbuster movies. I mean, is that
Yeah,
fun?
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like with Skeleton Crew, um, I started off as an animator and someone who wanted to do special effects and all of that. And I think the first day I met John Knoll, who's, like I think he was the head of ILM, the creative director of ILM and I think I believe he still is, but he's someone who made so much, um, did so many of the special effects for so many movies that I kind of grew up watching. And it was as soon as I realized, like I had some weird question and said, I was just like, okay, when I was about 9, there was this creature in the Star Wars read along book, and I never saw it again, but it seemed like there was some kind of movie. And Was just like pointed over it. He's just like, go ask John Knoll. And like walked over, talked to this guy and who was so accommodating and sweet with my barrage of like questions all the time. Like they had to call me away from him a few times to just like, it's time for your scene. But for me, that experience was, aside from being a part of it in that way, just being on set with so many people who are really the best at what they do as far as, technical, like magic and wizardry. That was great. So that was, like I know it's a lot of waiting around sometimes when you're shooting on a set. But for me, the waiting around was just like, I'm going to go over to the creature shop and ask what's going on and see the droid shop and see what's going on.
Yeah.
With Twisters, it was a bit different because we were in Oklahoma City for 4 months.
Yeah.
And my part wasn't huge, so there was a lot of waiting around. In Oklahoma City, which like zero shade to Oklahoma City, but for me, after about 3 weeks, I was sort of like, okay, I will. I'm going to get a lot of reading done because there's not a lot for me to do out here. But it's always cool to see how people are doing things. Like I direct videos, and it's always fascinating to see how a gigantic machine works, where you kind of delegate and then 18 people run to do this thing that that you've asked them to do, as opposed to sometimes directing a video where you try to delegate and you're just kind of like, oh, it's just me, I have to I'm the one who has to do this. With 4 friends, but I love it. I mean, big or small, I'm always very, very very psyched to be a part of a project like that, or be part of a film project.
Yeah. I mentioned the difference between these and sort of the smaller films that I've seen you in. Just because while I have you here, I'd be remiss not to mention Rachel Getting Married.
Oh yeah.
Which is one of my favorite films.
Oh great.
I mean, your IMDb is obviously for example, your IMDb is like, it's not as long as some of the huge actors in the world, but you've worked with such amazing people. I mean, you got to make one of Jonathan Demme's last films, which is like
I know.
remarkable. And that movie is such a remarkable film. Um, do you remember anything about, or like, what do you remember about that filming experience? Because it is such a unique film as well, and its production style too, and how it was
No,
made.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, first off, it was a like joy. It's easily one of my favorite directors. I remember, well, I grew up in Pittsburgh, and we actually had kind of a like makeshift film studies class at my school, and one of the things we did was go and watch Silence of the Lambs,
Mm.
which was and I was sitting there and like we are watching, and our teacher was kind of just like, "Do you recognize that? You recognize that?" And slowly we started to realize that they filmed it in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Where he started to explain to the class that he filmed in Pittsburgh. So first off, that was one of the first times that I was like, you can film stuff in Pittsburgh. It never occurred to me that that was a possibility.
Yeah.
And I just loved the movie. So when I got asked to to read for it, I actually thought I would go in and there'd be a casting director and I would do whatever, and then whatever would happen. But I walked in and it was actually Demme was there, a few of the producers. I think maybe one or two people had been cast, but it was like this very long table of people.
Mm.
And I sat next to him and, we just started talking, and he actually just started chatting about music. And his son, Brooklyn, was a fan of TV on the radio.
Mm.
So he was really super into the band, and we chatted about that and just like different things. And while he was talking to me about music, I was like, oh yeah, you directed Stop Making Sense and a bunch of other videos, and this is very weird to be talking to you like this, to the point where no one else at the table was talking and started to feel weird. And then after that, he basically said, he's just like, okay, well, like you can come back in and you can read with Rosemary. It was great to meet you. And so I didn't do any reading then. And then I was going to rehearsal in Williamsburg. I think it was maybe 2 weeks later or something. My phone rings. It's a number I don't know. He said, "Hey, Tunde." Yeah. "It's Jonathan." "Jonathan Demme." I was like, "Oh, it's Jonathan Demme." Yeah. He's like, "You got it." It's like, he's like, "Yeah, you got it." So, well, I'll see you on Wednesday. And that was the call. So one of the first things the cast did, we watched Thomas Vinterberg's Celebration.
Yep.
And he was basically saying, like, this is how we're going to film it. We're going to kind of use this Dogma style of like exactly Dogma style, but any of the music that's playing in the movie will be played by musicians live, and that was easy to do because there was a group of it was a large part of the movie is them getting ready to have this wedding at their home, at this family's home. And so they're a group of musicians getting ready for the ceremony, and so they're soundtracking the whole thing while everyone's around. This is a great actually Palestinian musician named Zafar Tawil, who was kind of heading up everyone. So like so much like beautiful music pouring through the house. And it was one of those things where kind of like Dogma, it was, you weren't really sure sometimes when the camera was on.
Yeah.
And he would basically just say like, everyone just stay in character. Like, like until someone comes and tells you we're going to another room, just like, I want you just mill about, do whatever, nothing scripted. Which really added to the feel and the realism of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the most grounded films I feel like I've ever seen. Like, because it really does, and maybe that's because of that sort of slightly improvisational filmmaking method, but I mean, it feels like you are just like at the table with these people and just watching it unfold.
For better or for worse, because it gets super uncomfortable.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension where you're just like, why? Some of those movies where you're just like, why is this person just fucking up left and right and really hurting people, But yeah, it was great. And I got to for Unknown Legend, he actually wanted me to pick a song. that I would sing, a cappella at this wedding. And I picked a song called Silver Words by a Jamaican like rocksteady reggae artist named Ken Booth, and which is a great song. And he's just like, "That's great. We're gonna go for it. That's great. We're great." And then it was about an hour before we had to do it, and he said, "You know what? I want to kind of do a little tribute to Neil Young, who like he worked with a bunch." He's like, "I'm gonna put a little Neil in there, so maybe Unknown Legend, just learn a few lines of it." And I had never heard the song before, and it was kind of like you have an hour. You have an hour, and I made a little demo on my phone and played it for him. Like, perfect. He's like, "It's perfect. I'll see you. I'll see you in there." He's like, "It's okay if you stumble a little bit." Da, 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 da. And I was like, "I'm not going to stumble. It's not appropriate to stumble in this situation." But yeah, just like a really lovely person. Like my experience with him was very lovely, and he came to a bunch of TV and the radio shows, which was great. Yeah, just like really, was one of those things where you hope to work with somebody again. And we hung out like, a bunch after we filmed Rachel getting married over the years. But yeah, such a crazy, quick, unexpected and huge loss, when he passed away.
Yeah. No, I feel like there was a lot more left. A lot more storytelling from him.
Yeah. And he got pretty experimental in places. I think the last thing that I saw him, I don't even know if it came out. It's called The Master Builder. And I
think it did come out.
Did it come out?
Yeah.
It's a weird movie.
Yeah.
It's like, it's deeply strange visually, and as far as story goes, it's kind of like you get to a certain level where you know your craft and how you think so well that you just kind of decide to jackknife everything and be like, let me see what else I can do.
Yeah. But I mean, it's funny because like, he's most known, I suppose, for either Stop Making Sense or Start Making Sense, and Silence of the Lambs, but he isn't or wasn't this populist filmmaker all the time. Like he did do stuff like that. He was experimental and he was really weird. And I mean, Rachel Getting Married, despite being from a narrative perspective, relatively quote unquote normal. I mean, the filmmaking is so almost aggressively uncomfortable at times, and it's so intimate, and it was shot very quickly, and like I don't know, that's not like big Hollywood maneuvering, and
no,
it's just like he was full of surprises.
It's also the thing about that movie that I kind of forget, but that he mentioned one time was that a lot of things, I don't want to throw any spoilers into it for anyone, but there's someone who's not present in the movie who has died. And it's the fault of someone in the movie. And he told me that a bunch of things were from the perspective of the ghost of this character.
Oh, geez.
Which I don't think you would know watching it, but then like looking back at it, I was just like, God, that's a weird entry point.
Oof.
But also with some scenes, you kind of see it after that.
And that character's big scene is in where they talk about what happened. Is just like one of the best, saddest scenes I can think of. I mean, beyond Anne Hathaway, though, I mean, like, what a cast, because you had Rosemary DeWitt, your scene partner, who's awesome. Such an exquisite actor.
Yeah.
Bill Irwin, Anna Deavere Smith, who doesn't even do a ton of movies, and she's in that one. And then Deborah fucking Winger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, it's a murderer's fucking row of these, like, great, great, great actors. So I think I must have been aware of TV on the Radio when I saw that movie, but, like, it's just, even with people like Anne Hathaway, who at that point I think had already done Brokeback Mountain, and so her star was kind of rising.
Yep.
I knew who you were, but I wasn't as familiar with everyone else. But despite that, it was like, it's just so enveloping that you forget immediately.
Yeah, no, and
amazing.
Anna Deavere Smith is someone who I like revere.
Yeah.
So there were times on set where it's like, just like, snap out of it, dude.
Yeah.
Just
some of the faces she makes in that
gotta
movie.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah.
And I have a pretty Deborah Winger too, who was not doing anything, who had left the industry and then came back, pretty much to do that.
Yeah. Beautiful work from
but
all
my story with her, which I'll try to keep brief. There was one day. This is actually the first day. You go to your trailer, you change, and there's a radio station playing in every single trailer. Same radio station was happening, and it was just Billy Joel, like all day, for hours. And I went into hair and makeup, and Deborah Winger's there, and I sit next to her, and I'm kind of just like, all right, she's getting her everything done. Just don't talk. Don't look over there. Don't get weirded out. Don't be weird. Don't look over there. So I was kind of waiting for my person to come over. And there's more and more Billy Joel playing. And she sits up and she looks at me and she goes, wow, you think this guy made enough fucking songs? And I was like, I love you. You're the best.
That's a good memory.
It was a good memory. And she's like, and I was there at the beginning. It was too much then.
Was that the first thing she ever said to you?
That was it.
I love that.
Yeah, that was it.
Such a good movie. I know. I wish I always have this memory of my professor in college, because I was a film major in college, talking about that movie almost derisively, like, I don't know why they shot it like it's on a camera in the room. I'm like, you don't get it. It makes such perfect sense. And ever since then, I mean, I feel like I just tell everyone to go watch it.
Yeah, it's great, and it was such a great thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I hope that's one of my lists of wishful Criterion releases. It needs a nice restoration and a big new edition. I would love that.
Yeah,
especially because it's Jonathan Demme. They have Demme in the catalog. Why not?
I don't know what the roulette wheel of putting stuff on the Criterion. I'm supposed to go do the Criterion closet. Maybe I'll bully someone.
Yeah, you should pull out Silence of the Lambs and be like,
it's be a nice companion piece. I'll just start throwing DVDs off of the wall. Not leaving till you say yes.
All right. So just to reiterate, debut solo record, Thee Black Boltz, is coming out April 18th via Sub Pop. Your first ever solo release. Here's to more. And
Thank you.
Hopefully more TV on the radio in our lifetimes.
Yes, there will be more.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tunde. This has been such a delight.
Absolutely, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Take care now.
You too.